Pissing Velveeta cheese. Okay, this will be part one out of however many. Bodies. I'm gonna start with a one. There are two, a male and a femoid. So, what you do is you get your pencils out, boys and girls, and you start with a head. And now, the head, this is gonna be a boy's head first. The head is kind of like in a box, like a rectangle, like that or so. And you just round out the edges with the chin and the head. The top of the head just like, circled off for the most part. This part, the chin area, is just, it's a little hexagon shape. Or, no, it's an octagon. An octagon, because it gets flat around the chin area. You see that. Go back. Okay. Let me erase some of these finer details. I couldn't do it fast enough. Okay. You get your little crosshairs right there, so where the eyes and nose will be. Now, for a male, our male is gonna have like a neck that has a pretty good width on it. Right here, like that. You come down with the shoulders, just kind of triangulate right there, like this or so. And this is a bit different from how I usually do it. I just go straight in because I've with more experience, you don't even have to like worry about this kind of crap anymore. But let me go in with like the rib placement. The rib placement's gonna be basically like another box right here, but it tapers down just a tad, just a little bit. You come down here with a tertiary or like a secondary box right here, which would be the abdominals. You come down here with his underwear like crotch right here, so this is just to shape things out. Again, I don't do this a lot. And there is a technique that people call like this person's 9 heads tall, this person's 10 heads or 7 heads tall. I learned about that in middle school from a friend, and I still don't understand it at all. So I'm just gonna kind of ignore that for the most part and just like go with resizing whenever I run out of space down below for the legs. Now, notice I'm putting this like, what is this thing called? Like in the hips and that muscle area where it turns the crotch into a V. I'm putting that there too, just to sort of guide where like the crotch will be versus like the legs. So you get the legs in there are kind of like, these are the building blocks of like shapes, very basic shapes for the most part. These are kind of like ovals, but not necessarily. It kind of gets jagged out because quadriceps are sort of complicated. They got other little muscles in there that stand out or whatever. This is not gonna be like super in depth on the anatomy, but just a way to sort of get the building blocks there. And I will have to resize this as we go down. Get the knees in there. The knees are kind of like I don't know what, like little rhinestones or something. I don't know what that shape is. They're like little avocados or something. I'm gonna go here to my express key, resize them a little bit, give them some space here. Maybe level this knee out. Now, what can also help is that you make sure that everything's like on the level it's supposed to be on. Let's see here. Note that also this point from like the femur all the way down to the knee is longer than the point of like below the knee and all the way down to your ankle and the shin area. That part's always like typically shorter. Stylistically, that could always like change. Sometimes you'll see like characters like Bleach or whatever the hell have like really long fucking legs, and you have like 7 foot tall middle schoolers in that show, or like 7 foot tall high schoolers in that show. It like they could do stuff like that, but typically, let me redo this a little bit. But typically, that's the rule of thumb, that the shin's gonna be smaller. Now we're gonna come in with the shins, and because I'm so used to drawing girls, I almost forgot that like typically, like the legs for a guy stands outwards like that, like the feet sort of come out like this. And for the girl segment, when we get to it, they're gonna be coming inward a little bit more. They're a bit because of how their pelvises are a bit more bow-legged, but we'll get to that. These kind of, the knees always point outwards like this because the stance is usually sort of wide to accommodate for the small waist and crotch. But I also want to note that we have this knee action going on here, and we divided the shins and all that from the thigh. There's a part right here on this side of the leg where the knee is. That's like I don't know what that muscle's called. I guess it's like a little support mechanism for everything or something. Hook, and let's go over to here with the next area and really define the calves. Define the calves on both ends right here, on both sides of the legs that you can see. Again, this might need a little bit of readjustment because I don't normally do it like this. Okay, so we come down to like the ankle part area. Just sort of don't make it like squared off like that because it has dimensionality to it, because you're gonna be expecting something in its place. Do it something like that or whatever, or something like this, like that sort of shape, because once you get the foot in there, it'll define sort of like its shape, or how it's like how it's nuzzled in. Now with the foot area, this is where we're coming in with the bit of a triangle action. You continue the line down from the leg, get a little bit of a triangle right there. Kind of looks like he looks like a damn old horse right there. He looks like a fucking he looks like a fucking horse right there. But here's how you like define man from Brony, is you give this other triangle area right to the extension of that one, and there you have somewhat of a foot-like placement. And you do it again right here around the what section of it? I'm not sure. Like, is that around the middle? And you do this right here. It's sort of like a duckbill shape. That's the word. It's like a damn duckbill, and that's where the rest of the foot continues. But from this area where the ankle is, like right here, or which part bumps out? Which part of the ankle bumps out more? Yeah, it's the outside of the ankle that bumps out more, not the inside. The inside is sort of smaller. The outside sort of bumps out like that, right? So once you have like the duckbill right here, the continuation of the foot that looks like a hoof, you add the heel just a little bit. When it's angled like this, like front facing for the most part, you don't see it that much, but you'll see it more the more the foot's tilted a certain way, the more you're gonna like see it. I mean, like, no shit, but here we go. Just get rid of it. Let me get rid of that little guy right there. Yeah, that's good. Okay. What else? Yeah, okay. So there you have like his torso and his legs and his bulge and stuff. Let me see here. Let's get into the arms. Now, before we get into that, define where the pectorals are gonna be here, because the pecs sort of do this sort of shape, this like Superman-ish shape like that, like the sort of like the trapezoids that I talked about in what other video? Some other video I talked about the trapezoid shapes. I think it was the first one where I was just doing like the Comey drawing. You come down here with like the dividing line too. Define where like the rib area is. I'm not gonna go super in depth on the muscles because I don't really understand them that well yet. There's a bit of a zigzag pattern towards the rib cage area right there for the muscles. This sort of bends inward right here, this part. So it's kind of a reverse of it's like a tinier reverse of like the shape of the pectorals up here, but for the abdominals. And sometimes they don't go like straight across. They kind of like, abs are weird. If you see certain guys with certain abs, they kind of weird looking, right? It can vary because it can like kind of like divide itself like that, or like this or something. Sometimes they're just sort of got like a swimmer's build, so it's not as defined or whatever. But you get the idea. That's those are the various shapes that you can go with for the most part. But getting directly into the arm shape, this is the reason why I said define the pectorals, is because this defines pretty much how you're going to deal with the shoulders, the deltoids, this area. You see that? These are like these little what do you call that shape? I never know how to define the shape. It's almost like almost looks like the helmet of like a cyclist, you know, like a bike helmet in a way. It's always this shape. From a side view, this is like how that looks. Like front view, it looks something like this or so. It's almost like a heart shape in a way, I guess. And it has like these little 3 divided areas. And of course from like the other side, it's like just pretty much the same. That's a sort of shape that's completely connected to the pectorals like that. You know, these almost never get disconnected. And you have like the little armpit area so whenever you lift the arm, like this area, like right here, that never disconnects. So like the width of the pecs are gonna be pretty much like the same like width of like what the arms are, for the most part. That is insanely important to remember. Now to get to the bicep area. The bicep area isn't that huge. They're typically pretty small. Your triceps in the back are gonna be a lot longer, anyways. But you don't put these arms straight down, by the way, either. And this is something you see in a lot of like, I don't know, more heroic sort of builds. But you get this sort of shape coming down, and then from like the top of the shoulder all the way down to like the forearm area, and then you get this bend right here for like the wrist, and then you come down here with the hand. So overall, the shape is kind of like that. It's snakish looking, you know. But it has got a lot of firm structure. There's not really a straight bone in your body. Is also a thing that you want to remember, and is also what makes anatomy kind of more or less like super complicated, you know, because there's a lot of different builds out there. So I mean, by all means, this doesn't have to be the definitive one, especially for a guy or anything. But like, typically, this is the kind of shape that you're gonna be seeing this boy in. Now let's get into like the hand area. Not gonna be super in depth with this one. I still need to make a second like standalone hand video. This is where we come down and just sort of like, I don't know. Really make like what kind of shape? Because right here up to where the wrist is, you kind of do this sort of shape, and then this is where the rest of the hand is. Because like, you know, it kind of like that part of the wrist, that bone in the wrist usually like stands out a lot, and you have like the rest of the hand sort of doing its thing right there or whatever. Let me see here. Incredibly messy. Let me try to provide some context for this. Now, I almost never draw to this perspective, but here's where you would like typically lay the fingers out or something. Oh god, that's terrible. That's terrible. Perish it. Put that away. Don't let anyone see I did that. Oh my god, let me work this out. Because I almost never draw in this perspective, so I'm actually learning. Oftentimes I'm learning as I'm teaching. The fuck was that? I'm often learning as I'm teaching, so let me try to fit this where it belongs, more or less. You don't usually see all the fingers in that, like from that perspective. You usually see like one or two, maybe like the second one right here, like in the back just a little bit, but for the most part they're gonna be lined up. But usually maybe you'll see like, I don't know, the hand more in a god. The hand more in like a fucking like a fist or whatever. I guess something like, hold on. God damn it. Let me just have it like in a semi-fist, like a very loose one. Or you have it like that or something, right? So I mean, that all gets like the whole hand area gets sort of from the side gets like divided like this, where you have the thumb right here. You have the fingers like right there or whatever. And give some place for the knuckles. Yeah, that it's something you definitely just have to get a feel for, because I am not great at putting like the basics together very good. But that's typically how I go about doing the masculine form right here, buddy. So, on to the next one, on to the femoid. Let's make another layer for her. Now, because her lungs are tinier, she can't get as much blood in her system, so she is bound to be smaller. She's a small woman. Fucking Jesus Christ. Now, with the lady's head, because I don't usually go in with a circle anymore, I can kind of just like nail it on the, just like while I just sketch it out or whatever. But when I do that for this reference right here, now this head is always, the female heads usually have like a sharper point to them, usually lower cheeks, or like they're sharper, sort of like I guess steeper or whatever. Cheek area where it comes down like this, more or less uninterrupted, nice and smooth, coming down and back up. It's a more delicate features, yeah. Let me just get rid of that so I can put the little crosshairs and everything. And the necks are kind of opposite from the guys. Obviously, they're a lot skinnier, as to where this is bold and then comes out like this, more or less, like outwards or whatever. The female neck kind of is skinnier and comes inwards, and where the head's like right there, that's usually what you would see. I mean, it's not insanely stern, because the neck sizes can be different for any myriad of characters. Now, here's where we get into the shoulders, and her shoulder muscles like this aren't going to be as well defined unless she's like working out to become a grown man. But otherwise, it usually comes down in like sort of a very steady, and again, it's kind of a delicate slope right here. Now, I'm gonna cut in this area where you would have the arms like this, and this is usually how I do it because I'm used to doing this sort of mannequin style. Get the clavicle part in there, and then sort of get an area where like the lungs or like the ribs, the breast area is gonna be. And note that her like lung, the rib cage area is a hell of a lot smaller than a man's, which is also why she has like a lighter voice, smaller body, more petite build. That's so that she has room during pregnancy to carry a baby. Hips a little bit too wide here. That's too stylistically wide. You can make them wider after you get the basics done, but let me just get a basic bitch doodled right here. You can come down here with like the midsection right there, the other part right here, which is where the womb lies, and then you can get just a little bit in with her fucking giny or china. That sort of dividing line right here. Or China, goddammit. Anyways, come in here with this sort of. Girls don't usually have like the type of like V crotch thing that guys have muscularly, but this does help sort of define where like it's a lot wider because her hips are wider. So this does define like where everything's gonna be right here for coming down to the legs. So now here's what I was talking about, because her like waist is like way wider than like a guy's waist would be. Like the way the action of her legs works is going to bow inwards and come down like that, right? Typically that's where the stance is. So you get the fucking should be a little longer. That little femur right there, and the knee right here, the femur right here, coming down again. You want to make kind of looks like an hourglass. It looks like the part of a wine glass that you hold, which is like crotch fucking gap, right? So you have that, but everything's still more or less facing forward. You come in here with the calves, and everything on the woman is a lot more slender. And God, I mean, I'm probably oversimplifying it. I'm gonna tell you right now. Back when I was like a kid drawing and stuff, it was all Dragon Ball Z shit. It was all just dudes and all that. It took me until I was like probably 21 years old before I felt like I was truly comfortable like actually drawing women, because I never tried, and bitches have alien-like bodies, and I don't know how else to describe it. I don't know how else to describe it. I'm still learning more and more about it in just its subtleties, because there's so much more about the form that's like not obvious to me at all. I'm like, oh, so that it like curves that way when they move this way or something. It's a madhouse in there, okay? But this is just what I know about it for right now. So I'm gonna make the feet way more front facing right here. Same procedure with the last one, but because again the legs are postured inward more or less, this is a sort of this is like the I gotta pee sort of like leg position. Anyone can do this leg position. It's just easier for women to do it just because it's like, you know, the way the legs like bend or whatever. And then for whatever titties you want to put in here, they would usually start around this part of the shoulder area, like right below it. And let's just give these, this is nice and round right here. Just do something like that, and it typically is like a teardrop shape like this, like that. But it just, you know, it goes outwards like this. You know, I mean, some titties are different and not built like the elite ones, like these shapes are. Some of them are more orangutan like, and they're in desperate need of like a refill of CO2 or something, or helium. But in any other case, this is typically the more appealing shape that you want to go for, and it's like, you know, it comes, this sort of area in the chest right here is always shaped off like that, like the Batman logo, See what it meant the entire time. There were titties right there, the whole. Anyways. I think that is interesting that you get the Batman sort of like logo right here on the woman's chest, right? And for the guy's chest, it's just straight up Superman right there. That's interesting. That's real funny to me. That's real hilarious, isn't it? But hell, it's good for you nerds to keep in mind. Anyways, fucking let's get to the femoid's arms. Now, for her shoulder blades, not shoulder blades, for fucking deltoids or shoulder muscles, it's gonna come off a hell of a lot flatter than like the guys' ones that are like plump like this. This one's gonna, you know, be a lot more delicate, has that sort of shape going on to it. It comes down like that. I think, you know, funny enough, I feel like if you study the forms of like the chicks in Ava, when they're in their like when they're in their suits. It kind of defines that area pretty well, because their suits sort of conform to like I don't know, sort of the muscular parts of the characters or whatever. Now, here's something I like to do where the biceps aren't that defined at all here. Like, they're hardly even there. So you come down and you do this sort of shape, and then you do kind of like, oh boy, you do kind of like what the guy's arms do, and it does that whole thing. Right? Where it just sort of comes up, bends down, and goes in this direction or whatever, you know? And that's like in accordance to the rest of the body like that. See? So that's what we're gonna be continuing that line with. It's everything just like, it's more skeletal, I would say. You know, because everything's like a lot skinnier or whatever, but this, let me fix that up a little bit. It's a lot more skeletal, but it's only because the body here is a lot like more slender. So you have to accommodate to that. You know what? You know, it'd be a really good point to make. I fucking forgot where, like, in accordance to where the torso is, where the shoulders are, like, not the shoulders, where like the elbows sit. I think the elbows almost always. Let me stand up. They're doing this. The elbows kind of almost line up with where the belly button actually is. The belly button's kind of higher on a woman's body. So technically, I guess with the male one right here, I guess technically the elbows would be like down to like right here or something, and then the rest of the arm would be right there. Yeah, so I don't know. Again, I'm not like a professional, so to speak. So you know, don't sue. Don't sue me. It just if you fuck up, if it doesn't look right, if someone calls you out on that, you know, some professor at like a retard school or something, you know, for like gifted dipshits that want to sell their soul to Disney, just tell them it's, you know, it's stylistic choice. It's it's a stylistic choice. I know it looks like shit. That was on purpose. Just do that. So okay, getting down to the cramped hand area, I might have fucked this a little bit. Well, I just make this sort of basic shape where it's just sort of like, again, like the guy hand, but a heck of a lot more supple. So you go like this, and this, and then you do this little thing right there. Yeah, so that's sort of these are all just gonna be the basic shapes. I don't think I'm not gonna completely define what this totally looks like right here in this part of this segment. I might give this one more of a fist sort of look. Now, the fist sort of look is well, not even like a true fist, like kind of like just like a half fist sort of thing, but tilted to the side. That looks something like this shape. Get the thumb not curled in, you know. It's just sort of supporting the rest of the fingers right here or whatever. Yeah, something like that. So let's see. Okay. So for all right. So I got the height differences pretty much right. So that's there's your basic set for the sketched out, just front facing thing. Proportion wise, or like how I typically do it for like the male and female body. I'm going to call it here for just the basic part 1, how to doodle a dude or dudette doodle thing on the jig. What the fuck am I talking? Anyways, I'll be back with part 2 or something. That will be positioning them in different sort of study situations. Like if they're sitting in a chair, doing laundry, fucking a midget on a toadstool, anything your heart's desire. So I'll come back and come up with that and turn this off.